uneasy about your partner having a friend of the opposite sex? You're not alone, and today we're going to get into what it means, when it's actually a problem, what to do about it, if anything, and how to navigate that dynamic without sabotaging your relationship. Welcome back to Dating Intentionally. I'm Talia. I'm sharing no-nonsense advice for navigating dating and relationships with confidence and ease, whether you've been dating for a while or you're just starting out. I believe dating can be fun. And this is going to be a spicy one because today's topic is sensitive, and I know everyone has an opinion on this. So feel free to join the conversation in the comments if you are listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube. You can also DM me on Instagram at dating.intentionally. I love hearing from you. So I wanted to do an episode on this because when I posted about this on my stories, I do a weekly Q&A. Right now I'm doing it on Thursdays. And it was about how to handle jealousy around your partner being friends with someone who is their desired gender and sexuality. My DMs exploded. Then I did a post about it, and the comments had an impressive range of opinions. So I think navigating your partner's friendships with their desired gender is really important to get into. Just to give you an idea of this conversation and that happened on my Instagram and what people were saying in response to my post, which is, is it a red flag if his bestie is a woman? And of course I said it's a green flag, and here's why. So one of the main comments that I got was that it was naive to accept if a guy has a woman best friend because guys only keep women as friends as a backup. And my response to this was, how do you expect to successfully date men if you don't think at least some of them are trustworthy? And do you really expect to be the only non-relative woman that your man interacts with? Is that realistic or healthy? No. And to the people who are saying that, it's the women who are saying that it's, impossible for a man to be just friends with a woman, I said, don't tell me you want an emotionally available, secure man who respects you and then also say that men can't be friends with women. The mature ones who respect women absolutely can. I'm sorry, but if you want an emotionally available, secure guy, he might be friends with women, because the two kind of fit pretty well together. So that's just to give you a picture of what this conversation was like and why it blew my mind, especially hearing from women that men, can't be friends with women, that the sex thing always gets in the way. And it's just like, man, that story is just so old to me. I am so tired of it. It doesn't help anyone. And I get people have been hurt in the past, infidelity, there's trust issues, there's boundaries being crossed, lying, that's valid if that has been your experience with a guy who's friends with a woman and you were together and something happened, right? Maybe there's a history. I get why there would be some distrust or some discomfort around your partner being friends with an ex, especially if it's a recent ex or especially if they're still very close. I get it. I understand it raises an eyebrow. It's like, what do you mean? But yeah, this conversation was very interesting and I would love to continue in the comments. So if you have your thoughts, share below. Here's another comment that pissed me off. I disagree. My ex always had women besties because he's not on his masculine whatsoever, and females all around him give him more of the sense of the domination he seeks. Bad sign. What? What are we even talking about here? It's exhausting. Someone said, if he's a narcissist, then he only has female friends to create triangulation and to create false insecurities. Trust me, I've dealt with one, and that's the only reason he kept two women friends. He also felt like they were good for his ego. Again, I understand people are hurt. People have been really, the pain is real, but I'm struggling because it's just so sad to have that experience and then think that is going to be every single person that you date, every single guy you date, if they have women friends, that they're a narcissist. And it's like, you need to let things play out to see if that is actually the reality before you make that snap judgment. This comment was crazy. Most men are only polite to women they want to sleep with, and men can't be emotionally bonded with more than one woman at a time. Oh my gosh, I'm face palming. If you're listening, I don't know if who's saying this. I'm not going to click into their profile, but the comment is a lot longer than that. I'm not going to read more, but that's just the level of what we're dealing with here. And I would say on this podcast, I want to be grounded in reality. I understand our emotions and experiences can sometimes make us feel like everyone is out to get us, or if one person hurt us, that means that every person like that person will hurt us. But that's just not reality. And your feelings are real, but your feelings aren't always information that you need to process as like, oh, that's the truth. Those are just your emotions. They don't have to be the truth. So, you know what? I'll link the post below. So if you want to read all the wild comments I got on it at your leisure, go for it. But let's get into it. And I want to say right off the bat, if you're queer, this is likely something you deal with a lot. Your girlfriend can also have a best girlfriend who you might feel jealous of. You know, if you're a guy, the same thing can happen. For this episode, you're going to hear me talk about it more in a heterosexual situation, but I really do want to call out that this is absolutely a thing in queer relationships too. I also really don't like using the word female when describing women. It just feels a little off to me. So I'm going to say girlfriend or women friends or guy friends when talking about platonic friendships that are gendered. Cool? Okay. So when your partner has a friend who is the same gender and sexuality as you, it's normal to have some stuff come up, okay? Jealousy, uncertainty, not feeling total trust, a little uneasiness, a little possessiveness. And in this episode, we're going to get into how to navigate all of that on your own and with a partner. I have dealt with this too, and I'm going to share my experience. So first off, we need to normalize platonic relationships between men and women, especially if the guy you're dating has women friends. This is a green flag, okay? And I know people do not, some people really don't agree with me on this, but I think it's a green flag. It's a sign, if a guy has girlfriends, it's a sign that they respect women enough to just be friends with them. It's a sign that a woman finds him respectful and good enough to keep him as a friend. It's a sign that they don't see women as sexual objects, but as actual people. What a concept. It's a sign that they can have a friendship with women, which is like foundational for a romantic relationship. Those are just some of the signs that why it's a green flag. I love that my husband is friends with women and I get to be friends with them too, which has actually been one of the coolest parts. Like I got more friends. Some women told me on Instagram that they're wary of men who don't have platonic girlfriends. I get that. I would also be wary of that. Like, why don't you have any girlfriends? Like, what's going on there? So again, let me know what you think in the comments. Green flag, red flag. Obviously, behavior is a huge element here, and we will get into that. But I want to share my experience because I have not really talked about this, and it's very vulnerable, but I really think hearing this will help you. At least I hope it does. So Johnny has a close friend who is a woman. She's in our friend group. She's younger than us. And as of now, they've been friends for over 10 years. Through those 10 years, you know, Johnny and his friend, they've both been in and out of relationships, right? Right now, she's single, whatever. Like, she was in a relationship for a while, but they were both in and out. I didn't think anything of this friendship or have any concerns until we moved from Seattle to California and we moved in together and they started hanging out one-on-one because now we lived close to all of Johnny's college friends who are, you know, now my friends, which is awesome. Initially, this made me uneasy. I did not like that it made me uneasy. I felt ashamed of my uneasiness. Like, why do I have an issue with Johnny hanging out with this friend of 10 years to watch anime or whatever they're doing? And I was uneasy because, first of all, I think she's gorgeous. Okay, that's just me. I'm like, she's beautiful. I knew she was unhappy in her relationship, which has ended. And Johnny told me that nothing had ever happened between them, which, you know, and I asked, but I had a really hard time believing it. And looking back, I think that was me projecting because in college, I'm not proud of this. I'm just saying this is what I did. I pretty much slept with all my guy friends if I found them attractive. I just had this idea like in college that if you're friends, you're both single and you're drinking a lot together, it's going to happen. Like something's physical is going to happen because that was my experience. Of course, that was not like I was projecting that. Johnny sees her more like a little sister. He is a serial monogamist. He never really engaged in hookup culture, and that just wasn't him. And it took us a few months, and me mostly, to work through this. I was upfront about my feelings of uneasiness, but I also made sure to own it. I was upfront about it wasn't Johnny's issue to fix, and the answer was absolutely not don't be friends with her, don't hang out with her. That was not the kind of partner I wanted to be. So we set up some expectations. And the main one is that he would give me a heads up before he hangs out with her one-on-one. It's just the kind of thing like we would do for our individual plans anyway. Like we're always cluing each other into what's going on. There are things on the calendar, our shared calendar, that are just individual stuff, just so we know what's going on. And I guess I just didn't want to walk into my house and just see her there without knowing.
That felt reasonable for both of us. And since then, it hasn't been an issue. But also, like, we moved to California 2 years ago. And since then, I've gotten to know her a lot more. We hang out every week, like just a girls' night. And those trust issues vanished after getting to know her more. So all of my feelings of uneasiness was more like in the first like 3 to 4 months of living together before we got engaged, when I was still adjusting to living in a new state with no friends and not really knowing what's going on. I wasn't working. I was taking a break. So like there was a lot of transition. And I think that also contributed to why I was feeling so shaky about this. So that's my personal experience. I feel really vulnerable sharing this. And I know that all in all, I recognize the work that I had to do here, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to do it. I have had to work on jealousy my entire life. I remember jealousy used to be a huge issue for me in like high school and college. So I've been working on this for a while, and this work was familiar for me. All right, let's take a super quick break, and then we're going to get into some of the advice I have. The last time Johnny and I traveled together, we saw this couple in the airport wearing adorable matching plane outfits, like coordinated sets in the same color. They look so cute, and I turned to Johnny like, "Can we do that?" And he said no. But when I asked him if he would wear MeUndies matching underwear, he was like, "If that's what you want," and I do. If you're looking for a Valentine's Day gift that's a little bit out of the box this year, MeUndies has you covered, literally. Their matching underwear for couples is cute, it's intimate, and you'll actually wear it more than once. Here's my MeUndies situation. I'm living in these. I genuinely did not know underwear could be this comfortable. Their ultra modal fabric is impossibly soft, and honestly, I can't go back to anything else. MeUndies underwear is that good. And yes, now Johnny and I have matching dino print underwear. It's ridiculous and I love it, but there's something fun about coordinating with your partner, even if it's just for you two to see. MeUndies has tons of prints in every cut and style you could want. They have sold over 30 million pairs with 90,000 five-star reviews, and they have a first pair promise. If your first pair doesn't work out, they'll make it right, no hassle. Valentine's Day is February 14th, so if you want these delivered in time, order soon. Make this Valentine's Day one to remember with matching underwear from MeUndies. For exclusive deals up to 50% off, go to MeUndies.com/dating and enter promo code DATING. That's MeUndies.com/dating, promo code DATING for up to 50% off. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that I used to track my dates. I had a whole system: who I was talking to, where we went, how I felt after, so it might not be a surprise that I also enjoy keeping track of my spending and savings with Rocket Money. I've been using Rocket Money for 3 years now, before it was a sponsor of the show, and as a solo entrepreneur, my income fluctuates month to month, so I have to be really on top of my finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. What I love most about Rocket Money is that I can see all my different accounts in one place. That alone saves me so much time and stress. I'm not logging into 5 different apps trying to piece together what's going on. And when you find something you want to cancel, you can do it right in the app with a few taps instead of hunting for some hidden cancel button on a website. It also categorizes your transactions automatically so you can see exactly where your money is going each month. I love it. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join rocketmoney.com/dating. That's rocketmoney.com/dating, rocketmoney.com/dating. Lately, I've been craving a switch up to my morning beverage routine, something warm I could enjoy that wouldn't hit me with too much caffeine all at once. I've been making myself a matcha latte every morning with Peaks Sun Goddess matcha, and it's something I look forward to when I wake up. It gives me steady, calm energy without the jitters or the crash, and it tastes great with a little honey. This is ceremonial grade matcha grown in volcanic soil in Japan. It's packed with antioxidants, L-theanine for focus without the anxiety, and chlorophyll that supports your skin from the inside out. I love that this matcha is doing more for me than just being something I look forward to in the morning. Peak also makes BT Fountain, which is their beauty electrolyte. It's not a sports drink, it's more of a targeted hydration with hyaluronic acid and cremides to support your skin barrier. If your skin ever feels dry or dull by the afternoon, BT Fountain is designed for that. It comes in a delicious yuzu raspberry flavor that I am loving. Peaks Matcha and BT Fountain work together. One calms inflammation, one hydrates at a cellular level. Together, you'll see less puffiness, brighter tone, firmer texture, fewer flare-ups, and that plump, dewy, lit from within glow. Redefine your standard of health. Get 20% off your order at peaklifecom/dating. That's PIQUE life.com/dating. Welcome back. So I think most of the time, unless there are clear signs that lines are being crossed, when we feel jealous of a platonic relationship that our partner has with someone, another woman, another man, it's a sign for us to do work on ourselves. So I want to get into that a little bit before we get into how to bring it up and navigate it with your partner. Because what does doing the work even look like? The first tip I have for you is to figure out what's yours. So is your partner actually doing something that's boundary crossing, or are you bringing your own stuff into this? Like for me, it was clear that I was bringing my own stuff into it when Johnny is like the most loyal person. He wasn't doing anything wrong. I had to recognize that my brain was convinced that close friendships between attractive people inevitably turn physical, and because that was my pattern. So here are some questions to ask yourself. Have I felt this way in past relationships, even with different people? Is this about something they're actually doing or a story I'm telling myself? Am I reacting to this friendship or to something from my past? So those are the things I would start to reflect on. The second tip is get curious about the actual root of the issue. Jealousy is a surface emotion. Underneath, you might feel a fear of being left, or a fear of not being enough, or feeling disconnected from your partner and projecting that onto their friendship. Sometimes the jealousy has nothing to do with the friend. It's about feeling like your partner hasn't been present, or you've been craving more intimacy, and the friend kind of becomes an easy target. I just watched that movie, The People We Meet on Vacation, and that's exactly, spoilers. Okay, that's kind of what happened in the end. Like, it's a friends to lovers story, and the guy in the relationship, his fiance was like, you were a problem, and then I realized that we actually had other problems. It's like that. It's like sometimes the friendship is a symptom, but it's not the actual root of the issue. Okay, the third tip I have is separate feelings from facts. Feeling jealous doesn't actually mean anything is wrong. I think it's usually a signal. Like, it means that you want something. That's usually what jealousy is. You can feel jealous and also recognize that your partner isn't actually doing anything inappropriate. They're allowed to have friends. Both can be true. If you're feeling like you're spiraling and you're convinced that there's something more, maybe, the other person's into your partner, or your partner has harbored feelings for their friend, here's what I want you to do. Write it out and think about, like, what are the facts of their friendship? How often do they actually talk to each other? How often do they actually see each other? And then what are the stories that you're adding? Like, maybe you're embellishing that the friend has a crush on them, or that they have a history, like that was what I was doing, or your partner secretly always wanted them. Like, these are our fears that are kind of disguised as stories that our brains can then interpret as real. Like, our brains kind of process that as real, and that's why it feels so alarming. It feels like, oh my gosh, like there's something off here, but really it's just from your story. Of course, if you're looking at the facts and you're like, wait, actually they talk constantly every day, and whatever other boundaries that you don't want to be crossed, that's a different story. And the fourth tip I have is, this is super important, is to self-soothe before you outsource. So not every feeling needs to become a conversation with your partner. Like, some of this is yours to sit with, journal about, take to therapy, talk through with a friend. If you bring every flicker of jealousy to your partner to fix, you're really putting them in this impossible position that's going to be exhausting for both of you. It doesn't mean that you never talk about it. It just means that you do some processing first, so that when you do bring it up, you're not in crisis mode and they don't feel like they need to solve it, because it really is your work. But let's talk about when it's not you, right? Because sometimes there is something off here and you are picking up on something that maybe is crossing a line. So here are some red flags. If they hide the friendship or lie about seeing them, that's a red flag. If the friend of theirs openly disrespects you or the relationship, that's also a red flag. If your partner dismisses your feelings entirely, like they're saying you're being crazy, that is a red flag. I mean, I think, again, if you're the partner in this scenario who has a friend and your partner is jealous, it doesn't mean anything has to change, but it's still a valid emotion. And if they can't validate that and they're saying you're being crazy, that's a red flag. Of course, like if there's an actual boundary that's being crossed, like if there's a behavior like flirting, secrecy, emotional intimacy that they won't give you, that's a red flag. If any of those red flags are present, you're not paranoid for thinking that something is actually happening. So now let's talk about, how do you actually approach your partner about this? So after you process, after you're doing that work, that reflection, I recommend bringing it up in a neutral moment and lead with taking ownership of the fact that this is triggering your own insecurities and jealousy, and it's not for them to solve. So that's what I want you to lead with. Start by making it clear that you're not accusing them of anything. You're not coming to them with something like a problem that they caused. You're coming to them with something that you're experiencing and you want their help, or even you just want to let them know what's going on. You might say something like, I want to be upfront that I know this is mostly my stuff to work through, but I also want to talk about it with you because I don't want it to fester, right? Like that's what you're leading with. Or you can say, I'm noticing some jealousy come up around your friendship with whoever, and I'm not saying that you're doing anything wrong. I just want to be honest about how I feel. This kind of sets a collaborative tone instead of being like, I feel uncomfortable with this friendship and you have to do something about it. My second tip for this, for when you bring it up, is to be specific about what is triggering you. Saying, I just don't like your friendship gives them absolutely nothing to work with. So get concrete. Maybe you'll say like, when you texted with her the whole time we were at dinner last week, I felt like I wasn't the priority. Or I noticed that I get in my head when you two hang out one-on-one and I don't hear from you for a few hours. Totally fair. Or you could say, there was a moment at the party where you two had an inside joke and I felt like I was on the outside. Help them understand specifically what is hard for you to deal with. And again, like you only can say that if you do the reflection. It's hard to pinpoint it without the reflection. Make sure to reiterate that you're not asking them to not be friends with that person. And if they get defensive, like they say like, fine, I'll stop being friends with them then. After they calm down, you can be like, don't hear what I didn't say, and let them know that you're going through your own stuff and that you want to keep them in the loop and approach it as a team. I had to do that. I'd be like, hey, I really respect your friendship and I know your friendships are really important to you. I'm not trying to make it so like you can't be friends with her. Again, that's not the kind of partner you want to be. The best outcome here might not be that anything changes. It just might be that you feel heard. Maybe, they are validating your feelings, and maybe it's just like you end it with, we'll just keep talking about this. Like this will just be something we continue to discuss and work through. And hopefully you'll feel closer and not more distant. But if it goes badly, right? If they shut down, if they get angry, if they make you feel crazy for having these feelings and refuse to engage at all, that's a clue. Like one tough conversation isn't a deal breaker, but like a pattern of not being able to talk about hard things, that is a sign pointing to a bigger problem than the friendship. So that's my advice for working through and addressing some discomfort around your partner's same-sex friendships, right? That make you feel uncomfortable. It's normal to feel, but you need to do the work to own it. You need to decide if you're the kind of partner who is going to be cool with your partner having friends of their desired gender, which I hope you are. It's healthy, and I'm so tired of hearing like men and women can be friends. That is absolute bullshit. Of course, men and women can be friends. Like if you're mature and you respect each other as people, why not? Of course you can. You could be friends with people you're attracted to. You just have self-control. Like it's really not that difficult. Let me know in the comments if you have any other thoughts on this, if there's anything I didn't get to that you want to hear more about. I'm always happy to answer questions below if you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify. And again, you can DM me on Instagram at dating.intentionally. And I really, really hope that you, if you're in this situation, you take this advice, because I think that it can actually make your relationship stronger when you talk through these things. All right, let's take a quick break and then we'll get into our dating dilemma. Okay, the new year is here, and if you're anything like me, you're looking at your space thinking it's time for a refresh. Whether that's finally getting organized, upgrading your bedroom situation, or just making your home feel more like you, Wayfair is the place to do it. So here's my Wayfair win. I work from home, which means I need my office to multitask. It's a workspace most of the time, but it's also a guest room when people visit. When we first moved into this new place, I spent days researching the perfect solution. I needed a piece that looked like a real couch, but could also convert into an actually comfortable queen size bed because I'm not making my guests sleep on a wonky pull out situation that's too small. Enter Wayfair. I found the perfect futon that has a queen mattress that fits my space perfectly, and it was shockingly easy to set up. And my guests have told me that it's super comfortable, which means the world to me. I take hosting very seriously. What I love about Wayfair is that they have so many options for making your home truly yours. Desks, storage, bedding, decor, kitchen stuff, and the selection is massive. So whether you're on a tight budget or ready to splurge, you'll find something that works for your style. And the selection is massive. So whether you're on a tight budget or ready to splurge, you'll find something that works for your style. Get organized, refreshed, and back on track this new year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com, Wayfair. Every style, every home. I have a confession. If my nails aren't well maintained, I will pick at them and bite them. It's a really bad habit. And the only thing that works to stop it is consistently taking care of them. But as a solo entrepreneur who wears way too many hats at work, finding time to sit in a salon for an hour is just not happening. That's why I've been using Olive & June's Mani system for my nail routine at home every week. I love using it when relaxing and watching TV at the end of a long day with my husband. Most days I'm rocking a clear polish, but when I want to switch it up with a fun color, I reach for Olive & June's Mani system. It comes with everything you need for a salon quality manicure in one box. We're talking salon grade tools designed for doing your own nails and 6 polishes you get to pick out yourself. And the polish lasts for 7 days or more, which I love. With Olive & June's Mani system, you don't have to wonder if you're doing it right or if you don't have the right tools. It's all there, it's simple, and it breaks down to about $2 a manicure. $2. That's a steal. So if you want gorgeous nails without worrying about squeezing in a salon appointment, try Olive & June. Visit oliveandjune.com/dating20 for 20% off your first system. That's oliveandjune.com/dating20 for 20% off your first system. All right, let's get into our dating dilemma. And if you are listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube, let us know your take in the comments. Here we go. I, 31 male, met someone, 25 female, at an industry function last weekend. We hit it off incredibly well, and I hesitate to use the word spark, but that's how it felt. A good amount of light flirting. I found out she's currently in a relationship about halfway through the night, which I then made the pivot to being friendly. We and a few others went out for drinks after, and the mood instantly shifts. It's extremely flirty. At one point, my arm is around her, and our fingers are interlocked holding hands. And the other couple at the table ended up finding out that she is in a bad relationship. When we leave, I offer her a ride home, and she accepts, but then asks if we can just drive around somewhere, which leads to some random holiday music playing, frolicking in the snow, and eventually kissing. The whole thing felt like a genuine connection and something out of a Hallmark movie. Anyone can think what they want about my morals, and alcohol being involved doesn't help with good decisions. But here's my dilemma. I can't stop thinking about her. I don't know what I should do about it. On one hand, I understand the whole relationship of it all makes this extremely messy and unlikely to lead to anything. But on the other, there was some strong connection and I can't just let it go. Should I say something to her, even if it's just to find out that it was a drunken mistake and there's nothing there? Thanks for submitting this. I hate when this happens. And I look, I'm not judging you. And holiday parties have a way of being a space where people do things they regret later. I've been there, and I'm sure people listening have been there too. These sparky, magical moments can happen, especially when it's a forbidden love situation. But I really encourage you to zoom out. Think about what you want and what type of person you want a relationship with. And forget for a second that she's probably still in that bad relationship, but do you really want to pursue someone who acts this way? You know, assuming she's monogamous, maybe she's not, but like if she's in a relationship she doesn't like and yet she hasn't left, she's clearly open to connecting with new people. That's very messy. I don't like encouraging listeners to get into messes that will be really hard to clean up later when it comes to the matters of the heart. I think it's fine to contact her and leave the door open if she maybe wants to connect when she's single and in a better place. But I generally advise to not go for people who are coupled up. Like, that's not a smart move in any way. Here's the thing about these spontaneous, crazy strong connections. Sometimes they're strong because, like I said, it's taboo or wrong. Maybe it would have been just as good if she was single, but for her, that probably felt like a really crazy thing to do. She knows she shouldn't, and that's what makes it even more fun. I'm just calling this out as an added layer to what you felt. Sometimes knowing someone is off limits just makes it all feel a lot more heightened. So should you say something to her? I mean, if you want to reach out and let her know that you'd be interested in reconnecting if she is single, but that's it. I hope this helps. Thank you for submitting. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you for trusting me. Don't forget, you're doing great. If you know someone who is navigating dating and could use a confidence boost or fresh perspective, share this episode with them. And if this podcast has helped you, a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify goes a long way. Once again, I'm Talia. This is Dating Intentionally, and I'll see you next time.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.